Let's start this way, right? Let me pull it up. I took a screenshot. Technology. If I were to assume the life of a knife, which one would I be? Right. The one that spreads butter or the one that splits the tree? The one with the curves so round and so dull, or the one you would carry on a trip to the mall? The one razor sharp you handle with care, or the one without shine that produces no glare? The one not serrated and left in the drawer, or the one which when finished says, "Give me some more"? Dang. Which one of these knives should a man rather be? I choose the one which could cut you and me.
Good stuff, man. What year was that?
That was about, I don't know, probably even 2 months ago. Bizarrely, right? So, I love that you mentioned something. We're not sure all the time. Let me put my headphones on so we look real podcasty.
All right.
But we're not sure all the time what post is going to get a lot of traction.
Right.
Right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of a mystery.
Yep.
It's kind of a mystery, but...
So,
did
that one get some traction?
That one did not.
It went over people's heads.
Yeah, none. It didn't get nothing.
You know what?
Maybe now it will.
Now it might.
I love you, Fernando.
Yeah. And if possible, when we're done here, I know you could edit this part out, but I think we should record it.
Yeah.
Solo.
Do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that.
I like it. That could be that could be a commercial.
I want you to know, I think there should be times that if you feel inspired, now we know that you can, we've gone through in our class with our people how easy it is to capture something high quality on your phone in the realm of audio. I would love for you to, once in a while, just drop me something that was on your mind. Okay. And we share those as quickies, as mental quickies, right? Quickies. So you can increase our uploads, because life has kept us busy and we don't get a lot of brotherhood time to record. But
yeah, I always enjoy it. So thank you for staying on me. And then, what was it? We didn't get to record Thursday, but you're like, dude, I got a little bit of time today, so I want to make the best of it. Yeah,
let's do that, man. Yeah. Let's get in on a Saturday, which is rare for us, right? Yeah. But hey, use the space. It's our place.
There's light outside.
There is, which is weird, and that's going to be gone pretty soon.
Yeah, we always record at night, so yeah. So tell me a little bit about why you decided to talk about the knives today.
Yeah, so I do believe that as we head into the next year, there's been some calibration things on my heart, right? Some things I think that we as men, because we're always asking men who listen to the podcast to think a little bit more deeply about the lessons we're being taught on a daily basis just through life.
Yeah.
We think they're abundant. And it just requires, in a world where we're kind of coached to not pay attention, it just requires us to pay attention. And a while back ago, I believe Missy had bought me some really nice knives for Christmas. So if you cook, guys, which you should be cooking a a little bit, right, Junior?
Yes, for sure.
You should be learning that skill. So because when she leaves you, you can make your own grilled cheese.
All right.
Excuse me. Let me get a cup of coffee. But anyway.
So she got you some knives.
Yes. And then
some Ginsu knives.
Within the course of about 3 weeks, I cut myself 7 times.
Oh man, they were super sharp.
And I wasn't trained. Really, I had not calibrated myself to handle that knife. Okay, and I would literally do it while I was washing the dishes. I would do it when I would because since I do the dishes, that's my manly contribution to my home. I try to do those on a regular basis. I also put them in the drawer. I put them in the drawer wrong because I didn't respect the potential. And then later on, I'd reach in the drawer, cut my damn self again. The same knife.
Right. Oh, man.
Right? So I began to think to myself, wow, there is something about this knife and these very purposeful knives that makes me desire to respect them more. And then I'm like, wow, that's the kind of respect I kind of wish I had for myself or for other men. And I began to look at these comparisons because right next to that knife that I needed to respect was that knife that I wouldn't look at twice that couldn't hurt me if it wanted to. The butter knife.
The butter knife. They're good for spreading stuff on.
Yeah.
Not so much cutting.
Right. They're good for, let's be honest, they're good for handling things that are what? Soft.
Soft. Ooh. Yes.
Right. So right away, we're done. Episode over.
Right? No guy wants to hold a butter knife.
No guy wants to hold a butter knife. Right? There's just so many things to talk about when you start to compare yourself to, at least for the purpose of understanding what created the knife, and the way that you want to be as a man, what is going to create those coveted characteristics in you that deserve to be respected too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Do you feel like there was an era, Fernando? Because you're going to learn. You know, we'll try to keep this around 30 minutes, but you're going to learn that if I had a question about a knife, if I needed to know, I'd call my cuchillo bro.
I'm the cuchillo bro.
Yeah, cuchillo bro. Fernando, you know a lot about knives, man.
On the way here, I was thinking about the knife idea, and I reached down. I'm like, oh yeah, I got my knife. So I thought to myself, oh man, this is going to be a cool episode because I get to pull my knife out.
You get to pull your knife. You're like, let me move this. I got this Glock 17 with a banana clip. It's in the way.
Then let me grab my knife. Yeah. So, and I couldn't help but think about, all the different types of knives and everything that kind of was floating through my head as soon as I read what you sent over.
Yeah.
And you made reference to a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
Which one kind of?
Well, I even wanted to compare, because I want to talk about the principles of the knife that I want to be as a man.
Okay.
And how it's potentially dangerous, but I want you to know there's also some thoughtfulness crafted into the user interface.
Yeah.
People are like, damn, them guys is intelligent.
Yeah.
Of the knife that makes it usable by people. So I want you to know, I'm not talking about being a shank. Right, which is only suitable for murder, and not much more. You're not going to cut your turkey. And, hey, pass me the shank so I can cut this leg off for grandma. No. So, yeah, there's some things about the handle and the adornment. I want to talk about all of it.
Yeah, and then another thing that just kind of downloaded is, are you a different type of knife depending on the, your life and where you're at in life. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe you need one at a certain time of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you progress to become something.
This is what I'll say about that, because that's wonderful.
Okay.
What I'll say is, if I had to spread me some peanut butter, I could do it with a butcher knife. But if I had to cut me a steak, I couldn't do it with a butter knife.
Right.
So my point is, there are some characteristics of the sharp knife that might not be perfect for the soft work, but we're going to get it done.
That's right.
Fernando, we're going to get it done.
Got it.
Right? So I would choose the characteristics of the sharp knife over the limited characteristics of the dull, soft butter spreader.
All right. So want to kick off some characteristics?
Let's face it. Like the thing that most people are going to talk about right away is the ability to do hard work because of the sharpness of the blade. And you know some stuff about blades, right?
Yeah. I'm going to let you just cook for a second.
Okay. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
I appreciate the blade so much, right? And I've got this set that Missy gave me, and I use them, right? So I'm cutting my potatoes. Fernando, I'm doing, because a hillbilly makes a lot of potatoes.
All right.
We fry a lot of potatoes, right? I'm cutting my potatoes, right? So what I love about the blade is there is an ability to get the blade back to the spec that the manufacturer intended. Like, God intended you to be a sharp knife. And when you were young, you cut some people. But life has a way of weighing you down. But what I love about the sharp knife mentality is there are ways, Fernando, to get that edge back.
Yeah. Honing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like the most subtle thing that you do, but it matters the most. It will get like even the rough spots that you don't see with the naked eye.
Yeah.
Right. So metaphorically, like there's some things that are maybe real deep down inside of you that maybe others can't see.
Wow.
But you can hone those areas just like you hone the knife. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. What you got, man?
I love it. So, but another thing I love, and I was specifically thinking about the butcher knife, you know, and of course I like all blades. I like me a samurai sword. Right, I might use it to cut me some bread. Yeah, right. I might, but I also love that when I think about the two knives, Fernando. Yeah. I also think about the craftsman. I think about the person that made the knife, and I think that the person.
You know, real quick. You know what I was thinking when you said craftsman?
What?
Tool steel. That's another type of steel.
See what I mean? Like you're so much. You know so much. I can't wait for you to drop it.
No. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I think about the craftsman, and I think about which one took more time and more care to make. And I see so much relevant metaphor in that. I see hours and hours sharpening. And then once something, I love that once something is hard to make, Fernando, then the thing that actually is amazing is you want to take care of it. You desire to take care of what cost you something to make.
Yeah,
you know?
For sure. So real quick on the tool steel that might lead into something that you just said is, so tool steel is exactly what you think it is. It's grabbing, you know, some tool from your shed, you know, melting down that steel, you know, getting it really hot and then forming it into something.
Awesome.
Right? So part of that is, you know, the sacrifice of, you know, the time it took to make said knife, you know, with tool steel, right? So that's part of it. And utility, what the knife is going to be used for, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So if I'm going to go hack away, okay, I'll give you an example. So the knife I'm carrying right now has S30V steel. S30V, right? So that steel is, what it's known for is it keeps an incredible edge. All right. So you can use it not necessarily for whittling, but, you know, it just keeps a really, really sharp edge. Now, the tool steel, I would probably use that for like some type of machete type. Okay. You know, where I'm hacking away at stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. With a lot of force.
And it's gonna take a lot of blunt trauma. You know? That makes sense.
Yes, it does.
Whereas the one I'm carrying is not as utilitarian like that. But it'll slice through it'll slice your finger off. Yeah. That's for sure. But anyway, and that's what I kind of was hearing when you were speaking. Those are some of the takeaways, and I thought, you know, I don't know, maybe that's...
I love it. I keep going back. I keep flashing back to like a satire style movie where you've got this 300 looking like blacksmith, like the guy from like muscles, rippling muscles, and he's pounding away on an anvil with some steel and heating it up, and it's glowing orange, right? And then he keeps bringing it back and forth from the fire, and then like there's that moment of reveal, and then after all this painstaking work, do you think that mother effing thing was a butter knife?
No.
Did you imagine the letdown? Like the king was like, "This is what you made for me."
Yeah.
You know.
Now, which leads me to something else that you just said, and maybe this is a different spin on that. All right, so they have this steel called Damascus. You've seen it?
I've heard of it. Okay, so explain it to me.
So Damascus is beautiful. It looks like it has grains of wood through it. Have you ever seen knives?
Now I understand what you're saying. Now,
So how they make that particular steel is they fold steel on top of each other. So they might take 2-3 different types of steel, and as the the blacksmith is just hammering away, after it gets hot enough and thin enough, he folds it. And he, so if you see like Damascus with like 9 different lines, that means it's probably folded 9 different times or more. So you imagine the painstaking work, right?
Yes.
So the beauty of it is just that it's pleasing to the eye, but it's not known to hold like a really strong edge.
Yeah,
you can get it super sharp, but maybe not like it maybe won't hold the edge as long as Go ahead.
But there's some aesthetic to it, right?
There's aesthetic to it, yeah.
It's beautiful. It's still purposeful.
Yeah. Yeah, for
right?
sure. Yeah.
But maybe not as resilient as some of the other steel you talk, like the S30Me.
S30V.
Instead of S30V.
S30V. Or the CPM S110. It's like a real popular. So they even got carbon steel. They got, D2 steel. Like, they're all popular for different reasons. Some is because it's affordable. Makes it more affordable.
Yeah, sure.
Than others. I mean, and so well-rounded. You depending on what you're carrying it for, the need, that's going to be the most important part. And when we were talking about honing, part of that honing is that should be done on a regular basis, right?
Okay.
So when you're sharpening the knife is one thing that you're probably not going to do all the time, but to keep that edge, the honing, that's the important part. And I didn't get to say that earlier. And what that looks like is, let's say you're actively developing yourself as a man.
I love this. Okay.
Yeah, so are you actively learning? Are you actively reading? Are you challenging yourself? I think that's going to be real important. And along with that is once you've become, someone that's purposeful in learning and reading, do you practice what you're reading? Do you practice the things that, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? And then finally, if that's not enough, right, which my personal opinion is that you can do a lot of growth by yourself, but to get to that next level, you should seek mentorship. That should be a part of that as well.
Sure.
So, you see someone that's doing something and you can, I want to get to that level and possibly get there through a mentorship. And mentorship to me is really good friendship. That person decides he wants to be your friend. You want to be his friend. And together.
A little bit of iron sharpening iron there.
Yeah.
Whoa, oh no. What? Oh my God, this stuff all does make sense. Yeah. It makes sense, guys. If you pay attention to it, it does make sense.
That's it.
I love that what Fernando's talking about, is imagine if you have this dependable knife, do you not think that this dependable knife starts to prove to be the solution for multiple things in life?
Yeah.
Not just murder. Yeah. Not just chopping the branch off that happens to be smacking your tree in the storm.
Right.
Not just slicing through the steak. You're gonna notice that this dependable and capable piece of equipment, and yes, this is a metaphor for men.
Yeah.
Right, starts to become an all-encompassing solution for life.
Yeah. And then the habit would be, taking time throughout that week to hone that skill.
Yeah.
30 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. Think about it. If you give something 10 minutes at the end of the week, let's say you got a 6-day week. Let's say you're not working on the Sabbath. So you got 6 days. That's 1 hour that you've put into this, skill.
Honing. Yeah, that's honing.
Yeah, the honing.
Yeah.
And then at the, in a month, you have so many hours into that. You know what I mean? In a year, imagine, in a year, you could be a master.
You could be a master. Now, let me ask you a question, Fernando. So I love that you're also talking about, okay, so now you're this utility tool that we must respect. And so you're not, and you are now subjecting yourself to continued education or whatever we think, guys, whatever we want to associate with the sharpening of the blade, the maintaining of the sharpening of the blade. I really doubt in year 25, fellas, that you're going to look like you did when you got taken out of the package. Right?
We talked about that just earlier.
You could be.
We kind of mentioned a little bit of that, right?
You could be. You could be. It's like having a hot rod that's a garage queen. That you never even drive to Dairy Queen.
Right.
That you never, that you never race down Central Avenue and Lake Station.
Right.
Who freaking cares?
Right.
But we're talking about being the knife that manages to be sharp, but still has a scar on the handle.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And to develop those scars, it takes other things in your life. I don't know. Building.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean by building, strength and resiliency.
Exactly, man. I mean, the bottom line is we're talking about being a sharp knife, but we're going to explain to you that if you're worth your, if you're worth the salt, then you're being used, then the world is wearing you out. So then we got to go back to the honing, right? Because the goal is to stay at that sharp, ready state, right? The best way to be ready, fellas, is to stay ready.
I love when you say that. And that's what I mean. It's like, you know, the metal is put under pressure or under lots of heat that develops, you know, the pressure that steel can handle.
Here we go. This is the good stuff right here.
Yeah. Well, what type of pressure are we talking about when we're talking about men? What type of, what makes you stronger at the foundational level physically? That's something that we talk about all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
it is,
you know, how much time are we putting into, you know, developing ourselves physically, and not only that, like what we put into ourselves, you know, the foods and the things that, you know, take care of this temple, you know?
Yeah. So what you're made of, what you subject yourself to.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, when I had a chance to talk to Fernando, you do this amazing thing, this man in the making thing with these young men, and you let me come in and talk to them once.
Yeah.
You let me come in once during the 8 weeks, which is it's a
they love it.
Gift to me, man.
Yeah, they love
to see these boys, and what I love is that Fernando puts them through also physical tests because.
Yeah.
Why would you go grab the sharp knife to cut the potato and not the butter knife? Because the sharp knife has proven.
Yeah.
The sharp knife has spoken the truth to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when Fernando says do 10 push-ups and the young man can only do 8 and the next 2 aren't, I want you to know something. If they look like R. Kelly push-ups and they ain't nothing but hip-ups, he's like, yeah, bro, you're still at 8.
Yeah.
Why would he do that to my son? Because your son needs to know the truth.
Oh, yeah. And that prepares you for the times of like demand, you know, when this is
the word demand.
Yeah, this is something that you said when you were there. It's like, you know, when great demand comes, are you going to be ready?
Yes.
You know, but kind of like we just said, you know, if you're ready, if you stay ready, you don't got to be ready.
Yeah. So boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Someone's trying to kick down the door.
Yep.
Right. Someone's trying to kick down your door tonight, fellas.
Yeah.
Right. Your wife runs and gets her Stanley Cup. She's going to hit him in the head.
Right. Oh, so check this out.
What did Fernando run to the get?
Yeah.
Well, he's probably got a gun, but anyway. Yeah. But Fernando, when you go to the drawer, in the moment of demand for the things that matter to you, I'm not talking about cutting the raisin bread.
Right.
In the moment of demand to protect your family, which knife are you, fellas?
I'm grabbing.
Let's see that cuchillo.
Oh, did you hear that though? Hold on, let me see if I can put it in the. Oh, yeah. Those are some ceramic.
So the craftsmanship
ball bearings
to even make that type of noise.
Oh yeah. Yeah. One thing though that I thought of before I talk about this a second was the guys. You know, when you're out there building your physical body. So when these young men are out there and I'm having them, you know, run, do push-ups, all the crazy stuff that they do, I can't help but ask them to repeat their memory verse for the week to me under all that distress.
Yes.
Okay. Because I'm also
dang.
I do. I'm brutal. So when you hear those
during
guys,
the stress.
Yeah. During the physical crazy stress, I'm always.
What's that verse?
Well, there's a bunch of different verses.
I mean, I can hear you screaming. What's that verse, young man? What's your responsibility?
And I always say this too. I was like, what are we building? And you know what they all have to repeat? They all have to say it at the same time. They have to say a foundation. Okay? So they're all building a foundation. So the physical activity is building a foundation. But there's more to it because at the same time when they're, you know, repeating their weekly, you know, memory verse, scripture verse, I see them sometimes get stuck. You know, if you watch the videos, you'll know what I'm talking about. They're like, they'll say the first 2 words and then you could tell because they're trying to breathe. They're trying to, you know, their rib cage is killing them. You know, they got their hands over their head. They're really, but they're dedicated to it. And I love watching the ones that at first fail because you're going to fail a lot in this program. You're going to fail a lot, right? And I tell them, hey man, you guys only get 3 times to fail during the week, right? You know, what do I mean by that? I mean, I want them to be held accountable to that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So if they fail, they have to pay their dues. And how do they pay their dues? They pay their dues with burpees, the most awful, exercise.
Wow.
For me, known to, like, I had to.
They are terrible.
Yeah, they're terrible. Well, when someone fails 3 times and they're doing 30 of them before class starts,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's hard, you know? Well, the dues paid are at the end, but they do have to do a bunch of exercise regimen before the class starts, like every time we meet. And then they're always trying to beat their PR. Is that what they call it? Personal? Is it
Personal record?
Record. Okay.
PR. Yeah.
PR. They're trying to beat their PR. I hear people say personal best.
Yeah, PB, whatever, but that's
PR,
lame.
right? So
We'll go with PR.
yeah, we'll go with PR. So I want them to, you know, if they did, you know, let's say they start off with 20 push-ups, now they're at, you know, week 7 and they're at 58. On week 8, I'm pushing them to do 68. You know, I want them, you know what I'm saying? And I want them to repeat their memory verse. What I was getting into, let me rewind real quick. Sometimes they don't take it real seriously when I'm telling them, hey, learn the scripture.
Mm-hmm.
Those first memory verses are the easy ones. They just get harder.
They just get harder?
They just get harder. The hikes, the first ones, those are the easy ones. They just get harder.
Yeah.
Everything is going to get harder. And then here shortly, we're going to go on our polar plunge. Okay, so they're gonna do a whole workout. We're gonna do this, 5-mile hike, and then they got to jump in the water and get back to the car.
Oh my gosh!
So yeah, it's.
You gonna tell them about shrinkage?
We had that conversation last time. Oh my God!
Don't panic, fellas. It comes back.
Yeah, it was funny. I said, "Hey, how many of you guys are turtle shelling?" That's what they call it. That's what they call it now. Every single one of them raised their hands. But yeah, so like you were asking about this knife. This knife was a gift, birthday gift, to me from my wife.
Mm-hmm.
The beauty of it is, she would, she's around me when I'm talking about knives, and she knows about the, what the blade's made out, the metal the blade's made out of, what lock liner versus body lock means, what jimping is. She figured it all out, and I remember when I opened up, the gift, I'm like, holy cow. She took it a step further. This particular knife, like you said, it's very light. It's super sharp. You got something I'll cut it with?
Yeah. Here's my finger. Just kidding.
No, yeah, whatever.
Right here.
So here.
That's a demonstration.
Here's an example of how sharp this thing is, okay? That was just, I don't know if you saw that.
You cut my notes,
Let me try it again. Sorry, man.
No, I love it.
I didn't mean to.
Look at that.
Yeah,
you can shave with that mug. We talked about that.
Yep. So super sharp. I love the length. It's a little big, but I kind of like it. It's super thin, so when it's in your pocket, it doesn't feel like there's a lot there. It's light, and the reason it's light, this is my favorite part, is because they hollowed out the center of the knife on both sides and added carbon fiber.
Wow.
So it makes it a lot lighter. And if you want to know more about this knife, just hit us up in the messages and maybe send you a link.
Yeah, that would be so cool, right? Don't worry, we're not getting any money for it yet.
That's right. But
I love when Fernando, you let me handle that knife, and I knew first of all, because I know you. Mm-hmm. I knew when you handed it, you aren't handing me something that you got from the flea market.
No.
So I already know that Fernando is a knife kind of connoisseur.
Yeah.
So I already approached it with respect. And I want you to know, when he handed it to me, I could literally feel the capability of this knife. So it made me shift into a mode where I would look for the way to handle this knife.
Yeah, which you did really good. You were really careful. So you respected the knife.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Which, for me, what I hear when you say respect the knife is boundaries. Mm-hmm. So, you're using the knife, you're establishing some type of boundary, and to me, the safety of a knife would be the handle.
Yeah.
So how you handle situations, maybe? Right?
Dang.
Talk to me, brother. Talk to me.
Well, it's funny because don't you think, Fernando, that one of the things, men, you've said this so many times that there's no way someone's listened to us before and not heard this, but the most spoken to, the most best received form of love from men and from their children is respect.
Amen.
Right? But my question is, when you hand me something that is respectable, I must respect it.
Yeah.
So, fellas, a challenge from us. I want you to know, demanding respect, it's okay, right? Like just out and out demanding it, but living a life that requires you're respected, right?
Yeah.
Living that knife life that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like I had to respect that knife.
Yeah.
But don't worry. There were more ways not to hurt myself with the knife than there were to hurt myself. You get it?
Yeah.
Like the person who crafted that knife only wanted one edge to be sharp.
Amen.
Right?
Yeah.
Purposefully.
Yeah.
Many people could encounter the knife with respect and not be hurt.
Yeah. And like you said, and I think like I was in a weird way, before I even handed you the knife, I was giving you boundaries because I didn't want you to open it and cut yourself, you know.
But I sure would have learned a lesson if I had, right, Fernando?
Well, that price would have been high. That like imagine you know yeah we don't want So I mean, if you set as a man, right, like let's say you set these boundaries, right, and they look like this. They look like, I'm gonna go to work from point A to point B, and when I get home, I might take a little time to decompress. That's something that we talked about in the past, and then I am going to be present with my family.
Yes.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yes.
I'm gonna be here, and maybe rest. I heard you say that earlier. That's something that I struggle with. I tend to go to sleep late, and I want to change that. You know? And because I feel the difference.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Absolutely.
So, things of that nature. Maybe boundaries with others.
Yeah. Because let's face it, right? It seems like our conversations are primarily physical. Yeah. We're talking about the physical characteristics of the knife.
Yeah.
But fellas, we're talking about this being a metaphor.
Yeah.
So let's be honest. We're not just physical. We are mental and spiritual. So when we talk about your edges, right, we are also talking about other things you consume or do to keep your blade sharp.
Amen.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you're talking about boundaries being one of those things and disciplines that are not just physical.
No. Yeah, and the last, just to end the whole boundary thing, would be, boundaries on those people that want to, we call them time suckers, right?
Yes.
It reminded me of
yes.
We have a whole podcast dedicated to that. So yeah, you have these people that just want to suck your time. Hey, I'm home from work. I want to spend some time with my wife and my kids. And you got some guy that's just, calling you nonstop or whatever that looks like,
Yeah.
So you got to make sure that, and so basically I'm using the handle as to how you handle boundaries is what I was talking about.
Yeah, I love that, man.
So, and crazy thing about handles, which might take us somewhere else, but I want to make sure that I say this. So a handle could be made out of steel and carbon fiber, like the knife in my pocket.
Right.
A handle could be made out of bone, right? A handle could be made out of wood that's elegantly just
adorned.
Adorned. So there's various ways to handle. So just because I handle one thing as a man in my life this way, maybe you handle work life, not that you're a different character, but you handle what happens at work differently.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I'm just
I get it, Fernando.
Yeah. And so just something I wanted to, bring
I
up.
love that, man. I love that too. So I want to wrap up here in about 10 minutes. So Fernando, if you could just give, what do you think? I got a couple myself.
Go ahead.
Let's just give some common sense ways, because the goal here, guys, is over the course of the next 6 or 7 episodes is to talk about some metaphorical things that we think can recalibrate us as we move into 2025, right? Can refocus so that we make sure that we're in alignment with what we want to achieve. Because I noticed in my life that I looked when I kind of did that third person kind of stand back and I looked at the whole landscape of my life.
Yeah.
I realized that I had these things that I thought I wanted, and very few of them were material. Some of them were relational, some of them were personal. But I realized that I had allowed things that were in my life that take my energy, my time, and cause problems for the most part that are not in alignment with that. So there's going to be some balance. We're going to look to achieve some balance before we go into 2025. But Fernando, what are some of the things that you do to keep that edge and that you suggest our listeners do? And they can be generic? Or
challenge yourself with experiences. And so what I have here is, just like we talked about testing steel and fire, we stay sharp through challenges. Fellas, seek out situations that, stretch your capabilities or push you out of your comfort zone. Some habits, set a goal, little short goals. So I
like that.
So with Man in the Making class, what I did is I put tape on the floor about every 1 foot. Okay. So the tape that where they're standing, that was where they are in life right now. 7 pieces of tape later is the end goal that they want, right?
Yes.
So for most of them, they wanted to be NBA players or MLB players or NFL players. So then I would take them. I said, okay, so from where you're standing, jump to the first 12-inch piece of tape and let me know what that goal is.
Wow.
Because you're going to need 7 goals to get there, right?
Yes.
This is just like a short, small way to. So they would jump at the first one, and they would all say, graduate high school, but they're like in 7th grade. So I'm like, wait
a minute.
Yeah, you haven't even made. I said, first you have to make it on the freshman team.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I wanted them to be realistic goals. Yeah. Right. So
I like this.
Yeah. So they're
Bro,
like,
you want to marry Megan Fox? You ain't been asked to turnabout.
Right. It's all these So
man, you're hilarious.
I'm thinking to myself, okay, let's go back. So they went from okay, let's make the freshman team. Just like that's so easy. But in a place like Hobart, or in a place like Maryville, or in a place like Crown Point, there's a lot of guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So by the time they get to the NFL, right?
Yeah.
They got to go through high school.
Sure.
They got to go through, if they're going to go to college, if it requires college to go, right? And then they got to make that team, and they, and then I think the last one before they made the team was how they were going to prepare for the combine.
Yeah.
Except I said Columbine.
Well, good. We're prepared for that now too. But yes.
But I was so excited, and so they all called me.
So then
out.
you had them out there running their 40s.
Yeah,
it's funny.
yeah.
I love it. I like how you.
So that was
that's cool, man.
So back.
You taught them like a ladder of achievement.
Yeah, but it requires short little goals, attainable goals, and then a celebration of that goal.
Yeah.
Because we don't take enough time to like really smell the roses. Is that how, good saying? Like, we'll achieve, the goal, the small goal, in our way to the big goal, but then we don't even take time to really appreciate, my kid made the freshman team, or he's a freshman and he got to suit up for the senior, varsity game or whatever.
Yes.
So those things are really important. So I did, focus on a lot of the little things because I don't want them to get discouraged. It's a long road when you're in 7th grade and you want to get to the NFL or the So I wanted to make sure that they were realistic, and fellas, just for us, set a goal or try a new experience like every month. It doesn't have to be crazy, and then or it could be a skill. Maybe you want to hone a knife. You want to learn how to hone a knife. Yes. Honing a knife and sharpening a knife are, 2 different things. Maybe you want to take a trip with, maybe you got 3 kids. Take a short trip with each individual kid.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's so cool.
And build that relationship with each individual kid. They'll never, ever, ever forget that. Ever,
they won't.
Ever. Or, try to take on a different perspective. That's been my new one. So I'm pretty... how do I say this? Not that I feel like I know it all, but sometimes I have trouble embracing a different perspective because I'm like, well, I've tried all those different things.
Yeah.
So
Because you feel like you've got some wisdom, right?
Yeah.
And it counted, and it does.
Yeah.
But
I'll give you an example. I know that we're running low on time here, but
we'll finish after this. Go ahead.
My abuelita, my grandmother, at 80-something years old,
yes,
was still taking on new challenges and new, short goals and changing.
Dang, man!
At 80-something years old,
absolutely awesome.
And it inspired me, and that's what I mean. It could be, a new perspective.
Yeah.
So
I love that, man. Yeah. So my final advice for men to keep their edges sharp, and I have a little list, these things that I try to check off. And believe me, it's probably more than this, but these are my core things that I think about all the time and that I try to weave into my young son that's still at home with me. The other ones are they're out of the house. But I still call them. I still love them. But let me put on my glasses here. Let me resharpen that blade. I tell my sons and my family, like, here's what I want you fellas to do, and I want my fellas that listen, that are so blessed to have listened to us, is that read the Word of God. You have to embrace the truth. You have to embrace the truth. If you were going to build a house, you wouldn't say to your friend, "Hey man, go cut me a 4-foot 2x4." And then they came back and then you say, "Did you use a tape measure?" And they say, "No, but I feel like it's 4." Well, you can live in that house. I ain't living in that house, bro. I'm just going to tell you right now. So you have to embrace the truth through the Word of God. And I tell my youngest son, we lift heavy weights. Yeah. I don't know who decided that you can become a different human being by lifting a lightweight. Well, welcome to being the same way tomorrow that you were today. So I want my men to lift heavy weights. I want my men to run fast. Oh, yeah. If you're going to run, you run fast. Yep. And I don't care what fast is for you. Yeah. I'm just telling you that fast tomorrow is faster than fast today. I want you to stop shoveling garbage in your mouth, which was something we talked a lot about in the manuscript. Yeah. Because if you want to be a Lamborghini, you don't run it on 87 octane. Right. Jesus, premium. Lord, right? And what I want you to understand is food is not in charge of you. We're done with things that provide short-term comfort being in charge of us. And then the goal is you are the blade that is not afraid. That's the goal, right? The goal is you're the blade that's ready for the work. And that every time you get grabbed by your family, or every time that you step up as a blade, you cut right through the problem and then you go right back to the sharpening wheel.
Right. I want to just piggyback on that, and just, staying sharp, fellas, is about intentional work. So if you want to stay sharp, you have to be intentional. You have to want to.
Yeah, you don't wake up sharp just because you dreamt about it. I slept. But I'm tell you this. I'm gonna be done right here.
All right.
I woke up so pissed off at my wife because I had a dream that she met some dude at White Castle at 2 a.m. And she couldn't explain that. I'm like, baby, it clearly happened because I woke up so angry. What? Right? So
you want a Happy Meal with those? With that shake?
Yeah, girl. So
dang. I know you were upset because I know you love her so much, and she's the apple of your eye. So
yeah. All right, guys. So we just wanted to tell you who we are before we go. In case you don't know, my name is Jay Casey.
Fernando Lopez Jr.
This has been the MentalEdge Podcast,
and we out.
Sincerely hope you enjoyed this episode of the MentalEdge Podcast. Please remember to like, subscribe, follow, and share. Until next week, we out.